The stranger in the night, the cold wind blew across the empty plains of the alien world. Daniel sat by his small fire, wrapped in a thick blanket. His tent just a few steps away. The stars above him shined brighter than any sky on Earth. This planet was far from home, quiet and untouched. He liked it that way. But tonight felt different. There was a strange tension in the air. As if something was watching him from the darkness. His campfire flickered as the wind picked up. Then he heard a soft sound. Like a whisper or a small animal moving through the grass. He froze and listened carefully. Another sound, closer this time. Slowly, he reached for his flashlight and turned it on. The beam of light cut through the dark and landed on a figure just beyond the edge of his camp. His breath caught in his throat. It wasn't an animal. It was a person, or at least, it looked like one. A young alien girl stood there, half hidden behind a rock. Her skin was pale blue, glowing softly under the moonlight. Her large, bright eyes watched him with fear and curiosity. She looked cold and tired, her thin clothes torn and dirty. Daniel didn't move for a moment. His mind raced. Why was she here? Was she dangerous? Should he speak or stay silent? Before he could decide, the girl took a step forward, then another. Her legs wobbled as if she was too weak to stand. Then she fell to her knees, shivering violently. Daniel felt a sudden wave of sympathy. Whoever she was, she needed help. Slowly, he put down his flashlight and raised both hands to show he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said gently, knowing she might not understand his words. "I won't hurt you." She didn't speak, but her eyes softened. She looked at him with hope and desperation. Daniel stood up slowly and took a blanket from his supplies. He walked toward her carefully, keeping his movements calm and slow. When he reached her, he wrapped the blanket around her thin shoulders. Her body felt ice cold, without thinking too much. Daniel helped her to her feet and guided her toward his tent. She was light, as if she hadn't eaten in days. Inside the tent, it was warmer, but not enough for someone so cold and weak. Daniel knew what he had to do. He unzipped his sleeping bag and motioned for her to sit down. She hesitated at first, but then slowly crawled inside. Her small frame fit easily beside him. He zipped the sleeping bag halfway and lay down next to her, keeping a careful distance. Even now, she kept her wide eyes fixed on him, as if unsure what would happen next. The warmth of the sleeping bag quickly surrounded them both. Daniel could feel her shivering slowly stop. Her breathing became softer and calmer. He was about to close his eyes when she did something unexpected. Without a word, she reached into a small pouch tied to her waist. From it, she pulled a tiny glowing crystal, no larger than a coin. Daniel watched curiously as she held it up in the air. Suddenly, the crystal glowed brighter and projected a soft blue light inside the tent. Strange symbols and shapes appeared in the air above them, moving slowly like a map. Daniel didn't understand what they meant, but the girl stared at them carefully. Her fingers touched some of the symbols, making them change. A new image appeared, a dark figure wearing armor, standing tall and terrifying. Beside this figure was the image of the alien girl herself. In this image, she was in chains, looking afraid. Daniel felt a chill run through him. This girl was running from someone dangerous. And now she was here, hiding with him. His quiet camp on this peaceful planet had just become something far more complicated. The alien girl looked at him again. Her eyes said what her voice could not. She was asking for his help. Daniel didn't know who she was or why she was being chased, but he couldn't turn her away now. Not after seeing that image, not after seeing the fear in her eyes. Outside, the wind howled through the trees. Somewhere in the distance, shadows moved silently. The hunters were already close. Daniel's heart beat faster. He knew that letting this strange girl into his sleeping bag was only the beginning. Whatever her story was, He was now a part of it. As she curled up beside him, her head resting near his shoulder, Daniel whispered softly, "Don't worry, you're safe here." But deep inside, he knew the truth: none of them would be safe for long. The hidden message: the night outside the tent grew colder, but inside, Daniel couldn't sleep. Beside him, the alien girl stayed silent, but she was fully awake too. Her large glowing eyes watched the tent walls as if she expected danger at any moment. Daniel wanted to speak to her, but he knew she didn't understand his language. Still, he couldn't stop looking at her thin face and glowing skin. Who was she really? Why was she out there, alone, in the freezing cold? Then, without warning, she reached into the small pouch tied around her waist again. This time, she pulled out not just one crystal, but two. The crystals glowed softly in her pale hands, their light flickering like tiny stars. Daniel sat up, slightly, curiosity pushing away his fear. She held one crystal tightly while placing the second one gently into his hand. The moment he touched it, a strange warmth filled his palm. The crystal began to glow brighter, and a soft hum filled the tent. Suddenly, the two crystals connected in midair, sending out a beam of light. A holographic image appeared, floating above them both. At first, it was filled with symbols Daniel didn't recognize. Then, slowly, the symbols shifted, and a voice began to speak not in her language, but in his. A translator built into the crystal had activated. Daniel froze. Listening carefully, the voice said, "To the one who holds this crystal, please help her. She is not an enemy. She is the daughter of the fallen house. She carries the key to peace, but her people hunt her. They will kill her if they find her, hide her, or all will be lost." Daniel stared in shock. The alien girl sat very still, watching him closely. Her hands trembled slightly, but her gaze stayed fixed on his face. She was waiting to see what he would do next. He swallowed hard. A daughter of the fallen house, a key to peace, and hunted by her own people. Before he could ask any questions, the hologram changed. A map appeared, showing their exact location on this planet. Red dots blinked on the map, moving slowly toward their campsite. Whoever was hunting hers, they were close, very close. Daniel felt his heart race. The hologram flickered again, showing the face of an alien soldier. His skin was dark gray, his eyes sharp and cold. He wore heavy armor, and his expression showed no mercy. This was her enemy, and he was already hunting them. Daniel turned to look at her. She pulled her knees to her chest, wrapping the blanket tightly around herself. She looked so small and vulnerable, but the crystals and the message proved she was important. Very important. Outside, the wind shifted, and Daniel heard something else: a crack, a branch breaking. He quickly turned off his flashlight and motioned for her to stay quiet. The alien girl nodded, understanding without words. She tucked the crystals back into her pouch and pulled the blanket over her head, hiding completely. Daniel crawled to the edge of the tent and peeked outside. In the distance, he saw faint lights, strange lights, not from his equipment. They flickered blue and red, moving steadily toward his camp. His breath caught in his throat. They were here. Her hunters had arrived, and they knew where to look. He ducked back inside the tent and looked at her again. She stared at him with wide eyes, silently pleading for help. Daniel felt the weight of a decision pressing down on him. He could leave her and run save himself, or he could protect her. Even though he barely knew her story, the holographic message repeated in his mind. She carries the key to peace. Hide her, or all will be lost. His jaw tightened as he made his choice. We have to go, he whispered. The alien girl nodded quickly, as if she had been waiting for him to say those words. He threw a small bag of supplies together and grabbed his jacket. The alien girl crawled out of the sleeping bag, wrapping the blanket around her shoulders like a cloak. Before they left the tent, she reached out and gently touched his arm. For a brief moment, her touch felt warm, almost thankful. Then they slipped into the cold, dark night together. As they disappeared into the shadows of the forest, Daniel could feel the danger closing in, but he also felt something else: purpose. Whatever this girl's secret was, he was now part of it, and he would protect her no matter what. The chase begins. Daniel moved quickly through the dark alien forest. The cold wind cut through his jacket, but he didn't slow down. The alien girl followed close behind, her glowing skin barely visible under the blanket she kept wrapped around herself. Each time he glanced back at her, he saw fear but also trust. She stayed close to him, trusting him completely, even though they had only met a few hours ago. Behind them, strange blue lights flashed between the trees. The hunters were closing in fast. Their footsteps were heavy, and Daniel could hear their voices speaking in a language he didn't understand, but he didn't need to understand their words to know what they wanted. They were here for the girl, and they would not stop until they captured her. Daniel guided her deeper into the forest. The trees here were tall and twisted, their thick branches blocking most of the moonlight. Strange glowing plants lined the narrow paths. Each time he touched one, it pulsed with soft light, showing the way ahead. After nearly an hour of moving through the dense forest, Daniel began to worry. Where could they hide? His camp was far behind them now, and he had no map of this planet. But then the alien girl stepped forward. She pointed toward a large rock at the edge of a clearing without speaking. She walked to it and pressed her hand against its surface. Soft blue light appeared under her palm, and with a low rumble, the rock slid open. Behind it was a dark tunnel leading underground. Daniel's eyes widened in surprise. She knew this place. This wasn't her first time here. Without hesitation, she motioned for him to follow. Daniel ducked inside the tunnel, and the rock door closed behind them, sealing them in darkness. For a moment, all he could hear was his own breathing. Then the girl touched the wall, and small lights appeared along the tunnel, lighting the way. As they walked deeper underground, Daniel finally spoke. "You've been here before, haven't you?" he whispered, even though he knew she might not understand. She didn't answer with words, but she nodded gently. Her expression was serious and calm now. It was clear this tunnel was part of her plan all along. They walked for what felt like hours. The tunnel walls were covered in ancient symbols, glowing faintly with green and blue light. Daniel reached out and traced his fingers along one of them. It looked familiar, almost human. It reminded him of old carvings he had seen on Earth. This place held secrets, secrets older than either of them could imagine. Finally, they reached a large underground chamber. In the center of the room was a glowing platform surrounded by stone pillars. The air felt warm here, and the walls were covered in images that showed aliens and humans standing side by side. Daniel couldn't believe what he was seeing. The alien girl walked straight to the platform and placed her crystal on it. The crystal glowed brightly, and a new hologram appeared, this time even clearer than before. The voice from the crystal spoke again. "To any human who finds this place, your ancestors once walked here. This planet was part of an ancient alliance. Our people lived together in peace until war and betrayal tore us apart. This girl carries the key to restoring that peace. Protect her, or both our worlds will fall." Daniel stood frozen. His mind raced with questions, but there was no time to ask them. He turned to the girl. Her eyes were wet with tears as she watched the hologram. She slowly reached out and took his hand. Her fingers trembled slightly, but her grip was firm. At that moment, Daniel realized the truth. This was no accident. This meeting, this journey, it was meant to happen. He was part of something much larger than himself, but outside, the danger was still growing. The hunters had found the hidden door. Even now, They were using strange tools to cut through the rock. The alien girl tugged gently on Daniel's arm. They had to keep moving. Daniel nodded and followed her through another tunnel. The chase was far from over. But now he understood that this girl was not just a refugee. She was the last hope of an ancient alliance, and he would protect her with everything he had. As they disappeared into the shadows of the ancient tunnels, Daniel whispered under his breath, "I don't know where this is going, but I won't leave you." Above them, the hunters prepared their final assault. But neither Daniel nor the alien girl would run forever. Soon, they would stand and fight together. The Queen's daughter, the underground tunnels grew darker and colder as Daniel and the alien girl moved deeper. Soft lights flickered on the walls, showing strange symbols that told stories from long ago. Daniel could feel that this place was ancient, a forgotten piece of history. The alien girl led the way now, walking with confidence. She moved as if she knew every turn, every hidden path. Daniel followed closely, still amazed at how this strange girl seemed to trust him so much. Finally, they entered a large chamber. In the middle was a glowing pool of blue liquid, shining softly and filling the air with a calming hum around the pool. Old carvings showed scenes of peace, humans and aliens living together, sharing knowledge and building a future side by side. Daniel stepped closer to the pool, drawn to its beauty. Then he turned to the alien girl and asked quietly, "Who are you? Really?" The girl hesitated. Her glowing eyes met his, and she took a slow breath. Then, using her crystal, she projected another hologram. This time, it showed a royal palace, tall towers, golden walls, and alien banners flying high. A throne stood at the center, and sitting upon it was an alien queen. Her face was cold and proud, her golden eyes sharp and full of power. Beside her stood a young version of the girl now sitting before Daniel. Daniel's eyes widened in shock. The truth was clear now. This girl wasn't just a lost traveler, she was a princess. The daughter of an alien queen. She knelt beside the pool and touched its surface gently. A voice spoke from the pool, soft but filled with sadness. "She is my daughter," the voice said. "She fled our palace because she rejected my plans for war. Her heart seeks peace, but my council has ordered her capture or death." Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. This innocent-looking girl was at the center of a dangerous conflict. Her own people were hunting her because she wanted peace instead of war. The girl stood slowly and walked toward Daniel. She gently placed her hand on his chest, right over his heart. Her eyes said what her voice could not. She needed him. Not just for protection, but as a symbol, a connection between their two worlds. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from behind them. The hunters had broken through the tunnel entrance. Their heavy boots marched closer, their weapons ready. The alien girl grabbed Daniel's hand and pulled him toward another exit hidden behind a stone archway. They ran together, their footsteps echoing through the dark tunnels. As they ran, Daniel's mind raced. He understood everything now. This girl was no ordinary refugee. She was a princess who had risked everything to stop a war. Her next move had shocked him when she slipped into his sleeping bag that first night, but now he knew that her presence in his life was even more shocking. She had brought him into a dangerous, ancient struggle, but he didn't regret it, not for a moment. Their path led them to a narrow staircase that climbed upward. At the top, a round metal door waited. The alien girl pressed her crystal to a small panel beside the door. The metal creaked as it slid open, revealing a hidden valley outside. The valley was quiet and filled with glowing plants. It's a perfect place to hide, but Daniel knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. As the door closed behind them, Daniel looked at the alien girl. "I know who you are now," he said softly. "You're the Queen's daughter, and you're risking your life for peace." The girl nodded. Her eyes filled with both sadness and hope. Daniel smiled gently. "Then we fight together," he said. His words made her smile too, a soft, grateful smile that showed she no longer felt alone. In that moment, Daniel made a silent promise to himself. He would protect her at all costs, not just because she needed him, because their future, both human and alien, depended on it. Above them, the stars shined brightly, but far in the distance, the hunters were regrouping. The chase was not over. The real battle was only beginning. Betrayal in the shadows. The hidden valley was peaceful. Soft, glowing plants lit the path, and strange birds sang quiet songs. Daniel and the alien girl rested by a small stream. For the first time since their escape, there was silence, no sounds of hunters, no danger nearby. But even in this calm, Daniel could feel something wrong. His instincts whispered that danger was still close. The alien girl sat beside him, dipping her fingers in the cold water. Her glowing eyes looked tired but peaceful. She trusted Daniel completely now. And Daniel felt something deep inside, a sense of responsibility. He wasn't just helping her survive anymore. He was protecting a symbol of hope. Then, out of the shadows, another human appeared, a man named Carter. Daniel knew him from an earlier mission, another explorer who had landed on this planet months ago. Carter smiled warmly as he approached. "Daniel," he called, raising his hands to show he was unarmed. "I thought you were still at base camp. What are you doing out here?" Daniel stood quickly, his guard up, but Carter spoke with the easy tone of an old friend. "I heard rumors about a girl," Carter said, lowering his voice. "An alien girl. You know this planet isn't safe. Let me help you. We can take her back to camp together. The others will want to meet her." The alien girl shrank back behind Daniel, her eyes filled with fear the moment she saw Carter. Daniel felt it too. Something about Carter's sudden arrival felt wrong. He narrowed his eyes. "Why are you really here, Carter?" he asked carefully. Carter's smile didn't fade, but his eyes grew cold. "I was sent by her people," he admitted quietly. "There's a bounty on her head. Big reward, Daniel. Enough to get us both off this rock. All you have to do is step aside. Let them take her back. It's just business." Daniel's chest tightened. Betrayal. His own friend was working for the enemy. The alien girl clutched his sleeve, her small hand trembling. She didn't need to speak, her fear said it all. Daniel took a slow breath. He could feel Carter's gaze, waiting for his answer. But he knew what he had to do. He stepped back, shielding the alien girl with his body. "No deal, Carter," he said firmly. "She's under my protection now. You'll have to go through me first." For a moment, Carter's friendly mask slipped. His smile vanished and was replaced by cold anger. He pulled a small blaster from his belt and aimed it at Daniel. "I was hoping you'd say that," Carter hissed. But before he could fire, the alien girl acted. In a flash, she pulled her crystal from her pouch and pressed it to the ground. A blinding light burst from the crystal, filling the valley. Carter staggered back, shielding his eyes. Daniel grabbed the girl's hand and pulled her into the forest. Branches scratched their faces and arms as they ran. Behind them, Carter shouted in frustration. His betrayal had failed for now. They ran until they found a narrow cave hidden behind thick vines. Breathing hard, they slipped inside and waited. In the darkness, Daniel turned to the alien girl. She sat close beside him, her eyes shining softly in the gloom. Without words, she reached out and touched his hand. In that simple touch, Daniel felt something powerful: trust. She trusted him completely now. Even though her own people hunted her, even though his old friend had betrayed them both. Outside, Carter searched the forest, but he wouldn't find them tonight. Inside the cave, Daniel made a silent promise. No matter what happened next, he would protect her. Not because of any reward or duty, but because he believed in her. Because she was fighting for peace, and so was he, as the night grew darker and colder. The alien girl leaned her head gently against Daniel's shoulder, and though the future was full of danger, Daniel finally felt sure of one thing: he would stand by her side until the very end. The ancient device morning light slowly crept into the cave. Daniel woke first, hearing birds calling outside and soft wind brushing against the vines. The alien girl was still curled beside him, her face peaceful but tired for a few quiet moments. Daniel let himself rest, but deep inside he knew they couldn't stay here long. Carter would return, and the hunters would keep searching. When the alien girl opened her eyes, she sat up quickly. Her glowing skin shimmered faintly in the dim light of the cave. Without words, she reached into her pouch and pulled out her crystal again. This time, she showed Daniel a different Amija. Tall structure hidden deep in the forest. It looked ancient, covered in vines and stone. At the center was a strange machine, glowing softly. Daniel leaned forward, studying it carefully. The girl pointed at the image, then touched her chest. Her message was clear. She needed to go there. Daniel asked softly, "Why? What is this place?" She tapped the crystal again, and a small holographic text appeared in his language. The ancient device can send a message. Can stop the war. Daniel's heart raced. This wasn't just about running or hiding anymore. This was about ending the danger forever. If they could reach this device, they could send a message powerful enough to stop her mother's army and warn the human colonies. Daniel nodded firmly. "Let's go," he said. They left the cave. Moving carefully through the thick forest, every sound made them stop and listen. The hunters were still out there, but the alien girl led the way with confidence. She seemed to know every secret path, every hidden turn. After hours of walking, they reached a clearing. In the middle stood the ancient structure from the hologram, an old temple, covered in moss and vines, but still strong and tall. At its heart, half buried under stone, was the device. It looked like a giant orb surrounded by alien symbols. The orb pulsed with soft blue light, as if waiting for her touch. The alien girl approached slowly, her fingers brushing against the glowing surface. The orb responded instantly, glowing brighter and lifting itself gently into the air. Symbols lit up around them, spinning faster and faster. Daniel felt the air hum with energy. The girl placed her crystal into a small slot at the center of the orb. The machine began to power up. Daniel watched in awe as a huge holographic screen appeared above them, showing images of her mother's army, human colonies, and their shared history. The alien girl turned to Daniel, her eyes shining with hope and fear. Together, they could send a message that would reach everyone. A message of truth, a message that could stop the war before it began. But just as she began entering commands on the device, a shot rang out. A blast of energy struck the stone near Daniel's feet. He spun around and saw Carter standing at the edge of the clearing, blaster in hand. Behind him were 3 armored hunters, their weapons ready. Carter's voice was cold. "Step away, Daniel. This is over." The alien girl froze, her hands hovering above the device. Daniel stepped in front of her quickly, blocking Carter's view. "We're not giving her up," Daniel said firmly. Carter smirked. "Then you'll die here, both of you," he replied, raising his weapon again. The hunters moved forward. But before they could fire, the alien girl pressed her palm flat against the orb. A sudden wave of energy exploded outward, knocking everyone off their feet. The hunters staggered back, their armor crackling with sparks. Carter dropped his blaster. Shouting in anger, Daniel grabbed the alien girl's hand. The device was now fully awake, its light reaching far into the sky, bright beam that could be seen for miles. The message had begun transmitting. Her mother's palace, human colonies, and other alien worlds would all see the truth now. The war plans would be exposed. But their danger wasn't over. The hunters regrouped quickly, ready to attack again. Daniel looked at the alien girl and whispered, "We have to finish this." Together, she nodded. Courage shining in her eyes. No longer just a lost girl, she was now fighting for her future, and so was Daniel. They stood side by side, ready to face whatever came next. The device pulsed brightly above them, sending their message across the stars. In that moment, Daniel knew their lives had changed forever. This was no longer just about survival. This was about saving two worlds and, maybe even finding peace between them. The Alliance, borne the bright beam from the ancient device, shot high into the sky. Its light pierced the clouds and reached the stars. The message it carried flew across space, faster than any ship on distant worlds. Leaders paused, their screens flashing with the message. The alien queen, sitting on her golden throne, watched in silence as the truth appeared before her eyes. Her daughter, alive and standing beside a human, was calling for peace. In the clearing, Daniel and the alien girl stood side by side. The device's glow wrapped around them, but the hunters were still there. Their weapons raised. Carter shouted, "Even if the message goes out, you won't leave this place alive." The alien girl stepped forward before Daniel could stop her. Her small figure glowed brighter than ever. She held her crystal high. The device responded to her movement. It hummed loudly and sent a shockwave through the ground. The hunters staggered and fell, their weapons sparking uselessly. Carter fell too, staring in disbelief as his blaster died in his hand. Daniel looked at the girl with awe. She had unlocked the full power of the device, not as a weapon, but as a protector. The clearing fell quiet again. The hunters, defeated and confused, crawled back into the forest, disappearing into the shadows. Carter sat helpless on the ground, his plans ruined. Above them, a new sound filled the air. A ship approached, sleek and silver, its engines soft and smooth. The alien queen herself had arrived. Her ship landed gently at the edge of the clearing, and she stepped out slowly. Her tall figure radiated power and cold beauty. Her golden eyes focused on her daughter first. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the queen lowered her head slightly. "You have proven me wrong," she said softly. "I see now that peace is possible. You have shown me a better way." The alien girl stepped forward bravely. Daniel stayed close beside her, ready for anything. But the queen surprised them both. She opened her arms gently. Her daughter ran into them, tears shining in her eyes for the first time in years. Mother and daughter were reunited not as enemies, but as family. The queen turned to Daniel. Her voice was still formal, but a hint of warmth touched her words. "You protected my child when even her own people hunted her. For that, you have my respect." Daniel bowed his head slightly. "I did what I believed was right," he replied. At that moment, the alien queen raised her hand high. Her soldiers lowered their weapons. Her advisors stepped forward. Listening carefully, she spoke, loudly so all could hear. "From this day forward, we will end the war. We will speak to Earth. We will build an alliance. This child, my daughter, will be the symbol of that new future." The clearing filled with cheers. Even Carter, sitting in defeat, lowered his head in respect. He had failed, but peace had won. The alien girl turned to Daniel. She reached out and took his hand, her eyes shining softly. A quiet promise passed between them without words. Their journey was not over. This was only the beginning. In the weeks that followed, the alien queen and human leaders met for the first time. The message from the ancient device had changed everything. Daniel and the alien girl stood together at every meeting. They became symbols of hope and peace for two worlds that had once feared each other. But at night, when the stars filled the sky, Daniel still remembered that cold night in the forest, the night he led a frightened alien girl into his sleeping. But her next move had truly shocked him, not because she had asked for help, but because she had changed his life forever. Their story became legend, a story about trust, courage, and a friendship that saved two worlds.